The Science Museum of Long Island is a science activity center where we concentrate on teaching science to children by having hands-on activities. The ultimate of this, of course, is to take them out into the field and have them get their hands dirty, to explore, to ask questions, and all of these other things that are so important. But basically, we want them to get involved in science and learn that science is fun. The ultimate of our programs is through the field experiences we have, such as the field trip we had to the Badlands of South Dakota and Nebraska. In addition to the South Dakota expedition, which is mainly for junior and senior high school students, we also have family expeditions such as the one to Manor. And we have study expeditions such as 2 years ago we ran an expedition retracing Captain Cook's first voyage to the South Pacific. We also have a study opportunity where we involve ourselves in research such as in southern Patagonia. Now let's take you on a trip with us to the Badlands or the Dances with Wolves country of Nebraska and South Dakota.
I think this trip was wonderful, and the best part about it were the kids. They pitched in. They were interested in everything we did. When it came to the paleontology, the digging out the bones, they were wonderful. The group dynamics was really the best of any group I've been with. They pitched in right from day one, and really took care of themselves. It was a big family that had a good time, and I think. Besides all that they learned, just the group dynamics, working together, was exciting.
Where are we?
I have no idea. We're in Nebraska.
We're in the Badlands. We're in Toadstool Park, Nebraska.
We're in the Badlands in Nebraska. Right now, we're in the middle of nowhere.
We are 18 miles from Route 44 in the fringes of the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation near the south unit of Badlands National Park in an area that was discovered by Marsh, who was one of the leading paleontologists in the end of the 19th century. And the site was lost to humanity for about 100 years, was rediscovered by Dr. Wall from Georgia College in the state of Georgia. And Dr. Wall has worked this site for 8 years, and he invited me out here recently, and he gave us the privilege of taking the pelvis of a Titanothere, and after his men were finished, we're coming back to see what we can find, and we've made an arrangement for next year to do a joint project between the Science Museum of Long Island and Georgia.
The monument at Crazy Horse that we visited is a tribute to the sculptor Corsac, who realized that the Indians were not represented in the Mount Rushmore monument, and he decided to really immortalize the great chief Crazy Horse. Crazy Horse was massacred actually while he was going to trial by one of the soldiers at Fort Robinson. Jewel Cave is a good example of carbonate sediments which were dissolved by water to form these caves, and of course it caused a great deal of crystallization. Students visiting this area were very much impressed because it goes deep into the earth, it's cool, and they had an opportunity to see to try what speleologists do by going through small crevasses. But this was not part of the real cave. I mean, they had trails, of course, it was a guided tour by the National Park Service, but they had a number of opportunities to, or kind of hands-on opportunities to try to go through small passages. The Homestake mine, which was actually discovered in 1876, has been an ongoing and a highly productive gold mine. Here we have the opportunity to see the open cut versus the deep shaft mines. The mines are the gold is mined from ore taken from 4 miles deep in the earth, and the open cut it gives you a good example of the layers and the faults, the stratification of the rock. The first museum we visited, of course, was the School of Mines Geological Museum, where we had a chance to see the skeletons of animals that were recovered, such as the Columbian mammoth, the titanophore, and many of the others. This was our first exposure to the actual sizes of the animals that we were looking for. Toadstool Park, sometimes referred to as the Small Badlands, is in Nebraska. And our reason for visiting this area is to see the very unusual rock formations.
We're digging out a turtle over there, and I'm not sure if it's male or female, but the females are larger than the males. We've been here for about 3 hours, and we're having a little trouble because the top of the turtle shell is cracking, and so whenever we try to get out around it, it starts to come apart more. So we have to put this resin stuff on it to try to keep it together, kind of glues it together. And we also have found that there might be the bottom shell underneath. So we have to somehow try to get both of them together and get them both out.
There we go. You got it.
Oh, you're moving it with that? It's
Without the top. Those the bottom shells?
Yep.
Yes.
Oh, this is the shell. We found this associated.
It's Oligocene, White River Group. The date for the ash, which is just below the Toadstool Channel here, is at 30 million. And you're a little higher, so subtract a bit. Probably be pretty generous just to say it's 29. So what we need to do is keep as much as that packing as we possibly can. And we're real fortunate here. Much of the work's been done for us. We can see what we have. He's complete. We don't have to do any exploration to determine that. Normally, you'd establish a horizon around this. You start out a long ways off in case he is complete, and then come in toward him.
We found a track of
He might come in with a chisel.
a run of all these paw prints and hoof prints, and we found a good one of a rhino. And so we're taking a cast of it so that we can bring it back to the Science Museum, and so everybody can see it. Right there, they're covering it with toilet paper, and then they put plaster over it, and they put the toilet paper there so that so they don't hurt the sandstone and ruin the print. Over there, we found some other prints over there on the other side of the gully, and then he ran across here, and we found like 2 of them, so that they're like he was running.
The mammoth site in South Dakota was really extremely interesting. This was a roof of a cave that caved in and formed a sinkhole which held water. And here many of the animals, such as the Columbian mammoth and other animals, would come to drink water. Now, the mammoths, being so large, got caught in the hole and couldn't get out. A lot of the small animals were able to escape, although there was some other animals other than the mammoths found. There are about 30 or 40 mammoths that were caught in this one area. It was accidentally discovered when they were excavating for a construction. And they realized the value of the site immediately, and therefore decided to enclose the entire site with a museum. And you can see this excavation going on now, year after year, inside of a controlled environment in the museum. So the exhibit is actually of the material they covered, plus the material that they are uncovering. So it makes it a very contemporary museum.
Okay, see, there's a dark one, it'll be coarse, and then there's a light one, and it'll be fine. Each coarse, fine, or light, dark pair represents this year. One would be summer and the other would be winter. So if you're an 1/8 inch thick, or approximately 10 per inch, and you have a 65-foot core, it doesn't take long to figure out how old this is.
I like Fort Robinson too. That was really nice.
Why?
It's just, I like the way it was set up and the way things were run there.
Fort Robinson is a well-preserved historic site. It was originally developed as an Indian agency where Indians came to get food and also blankets, keep them from starving. It was used during the Indian Wars, of course, as a base to fight the Indians. And here was used in World War I to train horses. It was
the blacksmith of Fort Robinson. This is where they made that's where they made the horseshoes for the military horses and the mules. And that's where they made like the saddles and the leather stuff.
Here we camped for a couple of days, and the children had a chance to actually relive history through the time of the Indians and the various periods in which the fort was active.
Bear Butte is a butte shaped as a big bear with a long tail. And we climbed it.
Indians sacrifices that they, little gifts to the god that to their god. They just come up here and they pray to him.
As you can see, the red symbols the north, the yellow symbols the east, the white symbols the south, and the black symbols the west. The blue, this symbols heaven, and they usually hang up a green ribbon which symbols earth.
Subharachodon, which is a type of rhino. And more or less its ancestral are in that basic stock to most of the living rhinos. It's progressive.
So we found a rib here, and a couple of vertebrae down there, and bones associated with this. color for the same animal. And there's a scapula right there. Separate. Now we're digging this up further to see if there's any more ribs. See if there are any more ribs. No, since they found. What do you think?
Okay, we're at the stage that we start doing a little more protecting. The hardener is dried, and when this was initially prepared, they were in the process of defining the specimen. There are some undercuts made that are going to make it difficult to put a regular cast on without creating problems in the lab. So what we're going to do is smooth out the undercuts by filling those with plaster, which are basically inserts. And once we've given it a smooth profile, and then we go ahead and cast it.
I think they are the ribs vertebrae of Titanothera. Large rhinoceros. It changes. First we think it's a skull, and now you can see the curve of the ribs as it came up. Is the pelvis of a Titanothera, a large rhinoceros that lived in the early Oligocene. This is, you can see that it's all covered by a jacket that Casey and I did earlier in the week, and we're here today to finish getting the jacket on it and to get it out, throw it in the truck, and ship it back to New York.
I expected the trip to be a lot of fun, and it was. And I guess I really expected what happened to happen and to experience different things that I haven't experienced before.
I think they had a ball. I think this is going to be considered one of the best experiences of their lives, and they're never going to forget it. And I don't think they're going to forget the friendships they made here either. I mean, in 7 days, these are real strong ties where folks, their lives intermeshed, and they're growing up really intermeshed right here. It was exciting. It's exciting to watch them.
One of the most rewarding things of this entire expedition, it never fails to impress me. I've taken a number of expeditions with students to many places, and these junior high school and high school students behaved like adults, in my estimation. They were exciting. They enjoyed what they were doing. They were cooperative. I had some reservations in the beginning, but I certainly have none now. This reinforces the whole idea of the importance of field study to learn science or any field of endeavor. I would take any of these youngsters that we have with us almost anywhere. All right, now we have seen what could be accomplished in 1 week with a group of young people. We intend to continue conducting these trips. I'm hoping that next year we will have both students and perhaps adults on a second trip. The opportunities are there for us to explore, and I think this is one of the most exciting ways to do it.